This is a little bit more than what we call a walleye chop, but usually they bite pretty good when it does this. I'm on Mille Lacs Lake and I'm going to show you where they're at, where they're going to go, and how you're going to catch them this week on the water. You know, come up in a spot like this, and this morning I looked out off the dock and the first thing through my mind is, wow, is that wind blowing? And I'll tell you, there are spots at this time of the year all over the lake where you can get a little bit out of the wind. Now that doesn't mean I'm not gonna go fish in the wind a little later, but I came up in a bay here and I'm just sitting in 18.5 feet of water right now. And this is the first pass. I mean, these fish are in here and they're ready to bite. I gotta get my net here. We'll get this guy in the boat and then we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, why we're here. And you know, here's what's great about this one. That one's going straight to the dinner table tonight. Sometimes what happens is a lot of these smaller fish stay put back in these bays a little bit longer. And I want to show you on the map what I'm doing and what I'm fishing, because it's really simple and you can come and do this weekend and these fish are still going to be here. Let's get this guy in the live well. That's a dynamite dinner fish. That's exactly what you're looking for on Mille Lacs Lake to eat. But let me show you on the map what we're doing here. We're actually sitting right up in a bay. And what's really neat about this is these fish, when they were spawning, they were up on the sharper breaks. Now there's a sharp break in this bay that goes from 5 to about 12 feet. And then there's also a sharp break that goes from 14 to about 18. They're all done on those breaks now. What's happening is they're starting to move out. They're headed for some mid-lake structure, but they're gonna get hung up here for a little while yet. They're still here. All they've done is slid out into some of the breaks that are a little bit more gradual. So all you gotta do is cruise along here and they're really easy to see on your graph. These fish will still be here this weekend. Now there's another type of area that we're also gonna be fishing right now, and that's any area where you go from rock to sand or rock to a muddy type structure. And what's happening there is those fish have already moved out. And we're gonna start seeing that across the lake here in the next couple days. A lot more of them are gonna get there. And what's gonna happen is all of these points that turn from rock into sand, or all of these rock piles out in the middle of the lake that turn from rock into sand or mud, are gonna start showing a lot of fish. So pay attention to that this weekend. They're gonna be on those spots and you're gonna be able to catch them just like that first one there. This is a good one. This one is a totally different fish than what we were catching earlier. We've moved out here now and you can tell by the wind we're in. You know, earlier today we started in shallower, but the big thing is I was behind a point. What I've done now is I've moved myself out and I'm out off of a point on the main lake. The reason we're catching these fish today is location, but it's also presentation. Part of what I'm doing is I'm spending a lot of time setting my sinker down on the bottom. If you watch me fish a rig, I spend a lot of time just setting down and lifting back up. A lot of people think that what I'm doing there is looking for bottom, and that's not really the case. What I'm doing is I'm stopping my bait. And every time you stop your bait, that fish has a chance to grab it, because you got to realize that a lot of times these fish are actually following a Lindy rig setup. Boy, we're getting close here. But what happens is these fish, they'll actually follow a bait for a long, long ways. So stopping and starting is a big, big deal with your Lindy rigs, because you got to realize that what you're trying to do is look just like a real leecher. Oh yeah, look at this one. A real leecher, a real bait fish or something. Let's see if we can get him. Got him. Woo! That is a dynamite walleye right there. One of the things I want to show you too is how simple this setup is that we're using. Let me get this thing unhooked. And what we'll do is I'm actually going to let this fish go right away because he's too big to keep. That's a dynamite fish right there. He'll be here this weekend when you come back. We're going to let him go, and then I want to show you what I'm using real quick. You know, this is just a standard Lindy rig. It's been around forever, and man, I think it's probably caught more walleyes than any other presentation that you can drop down there. It's just 36 inches long. It's got a plain hook on the end. You buy this in the store and it comes all ready to go. All you got to do is slide your sinker on your main line, tie that swivel on, and put a leech on it, drop it in and start fishing. Simplest presentation that you can use, and this time of year, it's downright deadly. Oh, I missed him. You know, that's one of them times where I probably just gave him a little bit too long. I really thought that I needed to give him a while on that one, but boy, he hit it hard. I probably just gave him a little too long. When they just come up and nail it, a lot of times it's as simple as just let it line out, count to 5, tighten it up, set the hook. When they just tick at it, I'll let the line out, count to 10 and set the hook. That time I just did it wrong. That is so cool when that happens. I actually saw that fish on the graph. I looked right at him and he was up. Everything was right about him. He's right on top of the hump. And I knew I was gonna get him. It was just one of those times where you just knew. So I laid that rod tip back, stopped the bait, and he grabbed it. And there he is. I don't know if there's anything cooler than when you catch a fish that you see on the screen. This is another good one. You know, this fishing out here right now is just dynamite. And I think what's gonna happen here is I'm looking at the weather for the rest of the week, and it's looking like we're still gonna have some of these chilly nights. We're gonna have some decent days, but we're gonna have some chilly nights, and I don't think this water is gonna warm up a whole lot. And if that's the case, what's gonna happen here is these fish are gonna stay put in areas just like what I'm fishing right now. I gotta grab my net. Let's get this guy up here. Oh yeah, let's get him. That's a dynamite eye. Look at that. That's just awesome. But you know what? I think everything is gonna stay real similar to what you're seeing right now. And you know what? There is fish out on the mid-lake structures. I mean, I'm already hearing about fish that are out on the mud. There's fish on the deep gravel, they're already going. So you know, for the next week, you're gonna be able to catch fish in here, but there's also gonna be fish filtering out. You know, the one thing I want you to keep in mind too is this morning we started in some shallower stuff and we were catching keepers. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of these fish out here to catch and they're a ball, but don't get frustrated because you don't have fish to go home. Go fish an area where those fish are, and that's probably gonna be more on your shoreline structures. There's nothing quite like fresh walleye for dinner, and that's what I'm gonna have tonight. Hey, the keys to the catch today were actually pretty simple once we figured them out. It was all about speed today. You know, it wasn't just speed of the boat though, it was also speed of the bait. And here's what I'm getting at. I had to get the boat down to a speed somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.5 to 0.6 miles per hour. If I was going faster than that, I couldn't catch them. As soon as I hit that magic speed, I got them. And then when it came down to speed on my bait, what I'm talking about is constant stopping and starting, because what you got to realize is not only are you stopping it and giving those fish a chance to grab it, you're also speeding it back up when you pick it up, and a lot of times that triggers the strike. Check back next week for more current and up-to-date information from your favorite lakes and rivers. I'm Jon Thelen. We'll catch you next time.